question, what's it all about? What's the meaning of life? Who am I really? Is a question the seeker really wants to find out. And so, in seeking the answer to the question, who am I, there is a deep understanding that I am not the ego. I am not the body. I'm not this mind. There is something else here. I may not know what it is, but I know that I'm not the mind. I'm not the body. The seeker is searching for their true nature. And so in following the I thought back, there is the potential of discovering this true nature, this true self, that when found appears as nothingness or everythingness. But it's not personal, there is no I involved. When this is found briefly, when this is seen briefly, this is called a satori. When this is found and stayed found, in other words, known continuously as self, this is called enlightenment. It is when awareness becomes aware of itself, or when awareness becomes aware of beingness. And the sense of that is one of being empty, or nothing, or everything, but it is not the sense of being a somebody. That sense of identity as a somebody disappears, because the true self is not a somebody. It's not an identity. It is not someone who's been somewhere, who is going somewhere. It's something that has happened to. That is a dream. That is the ego. Ego's reference points are made up of past events projected to a future, all of which are imagined. The ego is imaginary. And it appears in the vastness that you are, it appears in the emptiness you are, but it is not who you are. And so in seeking self, there has to be a deep understanding that I am not the I am not this ego, I am not this body. What is here before that? What does this I appear in? What is this background that everything appears in? Who am I really? And in inquiring, asking the question, who am I, there is the potential for discovering self. This question is not to be answered by the mind, not to be answered by the ego. It is asked, and awareness either turns back onto itself or it does not. If it turns back onto itself, there is a recognition of the emptiness as self, or the vastness of everything as self. But it is not personal, it is not claimed, it is just what is. And so the methodology of self-inquiry, which can enable the knowing of true self, is a great practice. To ask, who am I? Turning awareness back to itself. Not answering the question, just looking. Just looking. As you start to find this beingness as self, this emptiness as self, the identity of I starts to fade, because it becomes obvious that it is not who you are. That it is just a dream that appears and disappears. Who you are is always here. Always here. It remains. So, this amazing adventure to the discovery of your true nature can quite often begin with a satori, an experience of true self, without reference points, beyond the mind. But this is only an invitation, and that invitation is to then do the work to remove whatever obstacles are in the way of finding that in a continuing way. So satori is lovely, but it is simply an invitation. It is not the answer. In removing the obstacles, every time something that is removed that contracts you, keeps you identified as an I, that is removed, there's one less obstacle. So self-inquiry is wonderful for discovering true nature, but it doesn't necessarily remove the obstacles that are in the way. In seeing through the mind, in seeing the defense systems, in seeing the belief systems that contract us and attract attention to themselves, we have this opportunity to remove them. If we want to. Or we can leave them in place if we want to. It's up to you. Ultimately, you are everything, and ultimately, nothing needs to change. But if you're interested in discovering this vast emptiness or this vast nothingness that you are, self-inquiry and seeing through the mind and removing the obstacles seems to be the best way. It's up to you. It's your inward adventure. Thank you for Satsang.